When you log in, you get to this screen. If you had started already, you would see a client. Click on the left menu item here. So click on clients and you see the list of clients. I had already created it, so that's why it appears. Otherwise, you would have to create one, and you click on add client here on this right hand upper corner to add client, and then you start filling out the information. Since I already have it and saved it, it shows right here. Click on it to get into the return. You have this button here, preview forms, on the right upper corner. Click on that. The report comes up, the output, and that's the schedules forms based on the information that you input. Okay, if you have two monitors, it would be fantastic to put it on one monitor and then you work on the other. You make change to the information and you can refresh the forms and it would update. That way you can see whether whatever you input made the change that you expected to, that you expect to see. On the left hand side menu right here, for example, let's go to credit. Yeah, so I knew when I was doing this, I knew there was child tax credit, but I didn't know where to input it. It was the first time I was doing this, and you know, it's like a blur the first time you've seen things that doesn't look familiar, how to navigate. And so I Google searched for it. I typed in ProConnect, how to input child tax credit, and something came up to help me find it. What happens is you not only have the left hand side menu here, you also have the menu on the top. On the top, like, let's see, oh, because I'm in general. So there's general, then under general there's selections, a sub menu. So general, you're gonna put in taxpayers information. Florida, full year resident. You have to determine single, married, filing jointly or not, right? It's gonna be married, filing jointly. You put in the information. You have to go line by line here to see what you need to put in. You don't have to put in every single information that's asking, only the one that's applicable, only the ones that are relevant. Date of death, you're not putting that. Or foreign address, you know, you don't check that, okay? And here you just put in basic information that's given. Whatever is given, you put it in and you cross it out on the problem document, the Word document worksheet. So you go line by line and then go tab by tab here. Client information, dependents. So then you fill in the dependents. So you have to determine whether there is a dependent or not. This thing doesn't tell you, like, okay, enter in the information and I'll determine if it's a dependent or not. You have to determine it yourself. It's not like TurboTax. TurboTax will ask you if you have children. Yes. How old is your children? 36 years old. Then it's gonna know not to have that 36-year-old child as a dependent. Whereas here you have to put in that information and you put type, child living with the taxpayer, earned income credit when applicable, child tax credit when applicable, dependent claim by taxpayer. Okay, that's the dependent information. Here it's just Crocker Gator. You don't have to fill out this information. Are they able to take a credit or deduction for the cost of private school? Let me look back at the problem. I don't remember what the story was. Who goes to private school?
The son, Crocker. It's actually listed on page 4 of the scenario. It's in that chart that has things you have to figure out whether they go on the Schedule A or not. It's the second one listed.
Yeah, perpetually Catholic school tuition for Crocker.
From what I researched in the book, no, the tuition is not deductible on the Schedule A.
Yeah, it's not deductible on Schedule A. It's not. I'm sure, because there's no category for that. It's not tax, it's not interest, it's not any of the itemized deduction. Okay. Does that answer your question, Abigail? Okay.
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
One pertains to the list of the stuff for the Schedule A, because I've completed the project, but my question is, in that list it has Dave deduction CPA last year's tax return. And prior to the changes that President Trump made, you could claim the amount of money that you used when you paid someone to prepare your taxes.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about the change at the time I completed the project, so I actually listed that on my Schedule A
Mm-hmm.
and got the correct given us. So I guess my question is, in the sense of this problem, are they still saying that that is allowable, or do I need to take that off and I still have an issue somewhere else?
Now that's not gonna be deductible.
Okay, so that means I have an error somewhere else.
Yeah, so that's not part of anywhere on this tax return. It's not
Okay.
itemized nor not anywhere.
Okay, so I've got to figure out where I made a mistake. And
Okay.
then my other question had to do with entering the dividends. And the only way I know how to ask you is, I don't know if you can bring up the very bottom of the interest and dividend screens. They provide addresses and payer ID numbers for both of those. And on the interest screen, there was a clear place for you to fill that in at the very bottom of the document. It's going to be towards the top. Scroll back up. I think it's under income. So if you go to the interest screen and scroll all the way, if you click on details for one of them, scroll to the very bottom, towards the bottom of forms, like you'll have to open up for one of the companies.
One of the companies?
Yes, sir. If you click the details button, towards the bottom towards of the page, there is a clear section where it tells you, like right there where it says identification number, the additional payer information.
Yeah.
So you plug it in. If you scroll a little bit farther below that, it just says data source. So now if you go to the dividend screen.
Go where?
To the dividend income.
Yeah.
My question is, when you hit the detail to look at one of those, when you scroll to the bottom, it doesn't have that very first section. It just has that. So I was trying to figure out if we were supposed to enter the address and payer ID number for the dividends as well, because the section's not quite the same.
Okay. Dividend income here is just Everglades Bank Corporation. And
okay, so we don't, because see, it has the data source, but it didn't have the information section. And so
okay. Yeah, I think I encountered like what you're saying. So you just fill out whatever is available.
Okay, that's what I wanted to double check.
Yeah, because I don't see anywhere else to put in that information.
Wanted to clarify.
So the main thing for this project is, you get the numbers right. If you get the numbers right, then you know what's income, what's deductions, what's credits, what's itemized, what's taxable, and yeah, that's the main thing. So if you don't see a box to put like a payer name and it doesn't have an impact, so don't worry about that.
Okay, I didn't know if that was what would mess it up.
What you do is you look at the forms, see if it comes out in the output on the forms, right? So 1040 here, and then whatever interest, whatever that you put, or dividends, did it come out on 2B? Did it come out on 3B? Did it come out on 2A, 3A? You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so if it comes out, then you're fine. Yeah, it won't be rejected if you're missing some information. I won't be like the IRS. What I had initially had difficulty was identifying that there was, let's see, where should I go? Okay, there are tabs on the right. I mean, not on the right, on the top here. It's hard to see because it's not so bolded. So there's tabs on the left-hand side here, but also on the top horizontal section here, that you could click on to get to a particular input screen. For example, let's say I didn't know where to put education. I couldn't find it. It was hard. I was going through each of these and then I was going up and down, and I didn't realize that there was this menu tab on the top as well where you click on it to get to education, and here you fill out 3125 as the qualified student loan interest paid, and you had to calculate that. Maybe I don't know if you had to calculate that or not. I forgot. You put that information there so that it calculates the AOTC. No, this is qualified interest, not the credit. So this would be a deduction, and you would go on the schedule to see the impact of that. Okay, but my point is that there is menu on the top that help you get to a particular section. Like here, less common scenarios. This is where you would enter alimony paid. You might have difficulty finding where do you enter alimony paid. I mean, here is where it would be.
Another thing, because I kind of overlooked some things to begin with, there is right above where the word income is, there's that search bar, and I just typed in what I was looking for, and it'll up different things that you can click on, and it'll help you find, because like that was what I looked at. I found for alimony received, but I somehow overlooked the alimony paid, and so in that search I just typed in alimony paid, and then it comes up with different things you can click on for you to kind of read and help you get to that section if you can't find it.
Right, so here's alimony paid. Click on it, and it takes you to that section. Okay.
Yes.
See, so that's that would be helpful. Thank you.
In regards to I now see what I don't know that it necessarily showed up. Where I had entered the tax prep fees, it has prior year preparation fees, and then in parentheses it has memo only. So does that mean even if you plug a number in there, it doesn't actually compute it?
Where is that? Where do you input that?
If you go to under deductions and then choose the itemized deduction screen, and then at the top up there it's got medical, taxes, all that, choose miscellaneous and other.
Yeah. And
then if you scroll down some, you'll see the miscellaneous deductions that are 2% of the AGI.
Yeah.
It says prior tax is, oh no, there it is. So it says prior tax. So I'm wondering, since it's got memo only, if that means it doesn't count it. Because I entered a number that will have the correct answer for the project according to what you gave us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so then that probably answers your question. You put it there and there's no impact because it says memo only. Yeah, there's deductions for tax preparation fee.
Okay. I was wondering how I had it entered and it didn't affect my bottom line.
Yeah, probably that's what it says, memo only.
To me, it's not as easy as some of the others that I've used.
Right, because it's got too much going on at once, whereas the other they ask you question based. Do you have a child? Yes. Input the birthday, input the date. And here it's like it's more form based where you input the information, but still it's still helpful because you're not reading through all to the 1040 and Schedule 1 and all the forms.
Yes.
And it does it for you.
Yeah, that part was nice. I actually found myself clicking on different tabs that I knew I wouldn't use just because I just kind of wanted to see what the screens look like. So it took me longer to go through the project than I normally would have, but since it was a new software, I just wanted to kind of check it out.
Yeah, so this is a good project to learn tax because you have to understand the different tax sections that you go through. First is the general information, then income. You identify all the income that you need to input, interest, dividends, gambling winnings, unemployment, and then based on the information given, you go to the next section, deductions. What are these deductions? Adjustments to income from Schedule 1. What are some of these that you need to input? IRA contribution, 6,000, 6,000. And then it feeds into the actual tax forms. Refresh buttons or preview buttons, preview forms here. What you do is you have to go tab by tab, line by line here, general information, and then you go through each of these ones that doesn't apply. Here it's just client information, dependents. There's no deposit information, so it's only client information, dependents, and then you go line by line, and then make sure that there are tabs on the top header here that is there, and you click on it if it applies and input the information. After one tab, you go to the next, wages and salaries, you enter information, you enter interest, dividends. Did I go over that already? And then deductions, credits here, what is this? Dividends. And you just enter information.
I kind of did like you said when I read the scenario. I just kind of made notes as I read through the paragraph, and then I would make notes outside. Like if that particular section was just interest, I kind of labeled it off to the side so that as I came to things as I went through the software, I kind of knew what I was looking for. And to me, that seemed to make it easier.
Okay, any other question?